I'm Sid, and these are my best friends. My mom, Kim, my dad, Ty, my sister, Maddie, and our salty dog, Stella. We started our adventure refitting a Lagoon 450 before taking on the massive project of resurrecting a sunken 2021 Leopard 50. It's been one heck of a ride, but we're on this adventure to die with memories, not dreams, and live dauntless.
That's not my boat. Okay, so we're back in Stewart at the boat ramp waiting for the dinghy to arrive. They finally figured out what the problem was after about having it a week and a half. It was a vapor separator tank. And apparently when it comes to these Suzuki engines, if there is going to be something that fails, this is something that fails, but it usually happens once. So there's no need for us to buy extra parts. It's not something that we should be concerned about happening in the future, but it was under warranty, so it got taken care of. So now Maddie and I are gonna take the boat and we are gonna take it back to Fort Pierce while Ty goes down to Fort Lauderdale to do an electrical consultation on a 125-foot sloop. So it's gonna be an exciting day.
We can go so far, so far. Baby, let's go far, so far.
So Ty's gonna take her out really quick and just give her a quick little zip around just to make sure that we're good to go before Maddie and I get in it and take it.
It's the night away, we're not together have a celebration to an unknown destination. Can't you see?
I don't even think the plug is there, babe. Where is it? Okay. Okay. So, important lesson here, guys. Always make sure that the plug is in before you launch the dinghy. Just saying.
The rest of it'll pump out when she washes it. All right. All right, round two.
So far, you and me. We'll dance on that till the break of dawn. Come on now.
All right.
Woohoo!
Salty and sweaty. All right. So I think that's it. So now Maddie just has to do her dismount. I don't want to. Oh no! What? What? You're pushing it away. Okay, ready? One, two.
I don't have the muscles.
Come on, you're back.
I do have the muscles for it, but pulling that back.
And she sticks the landing.
Perfect 10.
Awesome. All right. We did it. Dinghy's back home and safe. We're back home and safe. And we're tired and salty. So we're going to go maybe grab a drink and then go home. Okay. See you guys.
Perfect. Perfecto.
Battery's not going to last too long, so we'll make this quick.
Make it quick. All right.
All right, guys, we are ready to move on to the inboard wall in the utility room on this port forward cabin. So we got a plan, and I think it's actually going to be a relatively, I'm going to use air quotes, easy plan to execute.
Well, see, so what happened is that Ty had this brilliant idea of bumping this wall in quite a bit, just like it would be if you bought this as a utility room option. And the reason they bumped the wall in is to make this wall here just over 2 feet deep so that you can put a dryer in here, so you can have a washer and a dryer. Well, this space is not where the washer and dryer is going to go. So my next thought was, hey, we've got this vacuum sealer, which we're going to show you guys later, but she's a beast, and we'll explain why. So just ease on the hate comments for a little bit, but the
hate on the weight.
The hate on the yeah. Wait, we now have determined we have this thing called weight hate. So everybody just hold your weight hate until we get the boat loaded, balanced, and built, and then all of us together will look at the water line and we'll make a determination if the weight hate is appropriate. So anyway, this space here where the dryer was going to go, which probably weighs about 100 pounds, 46 kilos, something like that. The vacuum sealer weighs 100 kilos. So it's as much as the washing machine. It's 220 pounds. So that being said, maybe putting that kind of weight forward in the boat, not a great idea. Because we're already, as you guys probably can imagine, having a ton of tools in here. Well, my brilliant wife said, hey, let's move it back to where the washer-dryer combo originally was. It's still accessible to the galley. It moves the weight back in the boat 10 or 15 feet. Okay, she's right. She's right. And we were going to use that as our pantry, but we've made other arrangements for food pantry, so we'll deal with that later. So, what does all that mean? All that means is we actually kind of like the space that's here, but I don't like open shelves. Neither of us like stuff out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this back wall that's in here that really has about 6 to 9 inches behind it, and we're going to cut this back wall out. We are going to extend these flat surfaces all the way into the back, top and bottom and sides, and we are going to put doors within this open space. This will be shelves. We can put our printer in here. Well, who knows what else. But we figured that's the easiest way. Keep the boat the lightest, maximize the space that's here, but not go crazy. Now, where this challenge comes in is, I'm going to take you with me here, is that when they do this utility room bump out, they bump this out because of this floor right here. And if you don't want angular walls or slanted walls in the boat, you just bump the entire square out, run it to the head, and then it all encloses it. Well, we want to maximize our space again. So down here, what you're going to see is we are going to make a box that comes off this wall right here that goes down to the floor, encloses the edge of the flooring, and gives us a space for a little bit of countertop here. So we'll be able to span across this, maybe put a bed in if we want. And then we might have to do an angle deal down here. We'll see. That's going to be kind of like as we go along. But that's the idea. Simpler space, less weight, and faster. So we can get to, I don't know, like air conditioning and power, which is probably pretty crucial, right?
That's right.
Because if you don't notice me glistening right now, it is now just after 10 in the morning, and it is blistering hot in here. And, well, I'm done talking because with the camera running, I can't run the fan. So, all right, I've got it cut mostly flush, but there's a screw that they've assembled in. So I don't know if you can see this pivot. There's a screw on either side. Ah, got it. Alright, so I found this really cool tool that I'm going to use to trim laminate. And I could put a triple chip blade on a trim saw and try to rip stuff down, but this laminate really, well, all laminate, let's face it, likes to chip a lot. And this is a laminate trimmer. So it goes all the way down to, I don't know, maybe you can get a 1/4 inch, maybe less, 1/2 inch, up to 4.5 inches of width. And you adjust this dial, and that actually runs these rollers, and it shears with a perfect straight cut the laminate. So I can take out one of these sheets, strip off what I need, and then I'll be able to lay that down with obviously some contact cement. But this is a really cool deal. The budget's a little rough on this job between the edge bander and stuff like this. I think this guy was about $150. So yes, if I wasn't ordering laminate from overseas, I probably would just use the trim saw. However, the cost to get the laminate from overseas is more than the laminate, and it's months until I can get it. So I'm really concerned about that, and so I'm going to use something like this just to make sure that I reserve as much of that product for the project as possible. I take it back, it was worth every dime. So we have, well, obviously we're back at the boat, and I've got my top and bottom panels and then all my dividers cut, banded, edge banded, sheeted, the whole 9 yards. So the first thing I need to do today is I need to put the bottom piece in and scribe this front corner, because this is where the chine comes up on the boat and the boat gets narrow. Shit, it's almost like I made it to fit in there.
Wow. Looks like you made better measurements this time.
You know what, Kim? You're right. Alright.
Look, you can get into a drawer and find a device, like a tape measure. It's amazing.
Alright, so we got... So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that it's square in the opening, and then I'm just going to scribe this section here along the wall so I can cut that out with a jigsaw, and that this thing will slide straight back and it's not going to completely touch the wall, but it's going to get pretty darn close. The front of this is also going to overhang about 5/8 of an inch out, and that is what's going to allow us to offset the doors from the wall, so that we don't have to put any latches in it, and you can just reach over top or underneath and grab the doors and pull them open, like the rest of the doors that Leopard designed. All right, we need a fan. It is hot.
Stuffy.
I'll set my scribe to 5/8 of an inch and trace that all the way along, and then I'll be able to take that off, and we'll have the proper depth and dimension. Perfect. Okay. I got the base piece in. And now I want to scribe the top piece as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these side pieces and I'm going to put the top piece in. Kim's going to help me hold it. I'm going to stack these side pieces up to hold it, and then we'll put one in the center. And that's going to allow me the ability to hold it up in place so that I can scribe it.
Okay, now that I'm back with the camera, what are we doing?
Well, we're doing woodworking in the dark. I hope it comes out on video all right. So I'm just screwing all the separators to the base, and then I can add the top on top of this and do the same thing. I'm using these super awesome clamps. Kim, how long have we had these? Like 20 years?
Probably.
This is a cabinet squaring jig. So you see how it comes underneath?
Yeah.
And then it clamps over here, so it makes a 90-degree turn. And then this clamps right down in the middle of it. So there you go. And then I'm going to clamp the other side, and once both sides are clamped, it's rock solid. I can turn it up on its face, and I can put the screws in. Cool. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of Airbnb Workshop. I'm your host, Ty, and we're about ready to build an interior wall cabinet for SV Dauntless. So let's get to it. Exciting stuff is afoot. We have a 3/4 inch panel that we laminated on one side, and this is going to be our interior support to be able to hold up the inboard wall micro counter with a little hidden gem in it when we get to that point. But we're gonna cut this and get this all assembled up so we can take it to the boat, get it temped in, permanently put in, and then we'll be able to measure that forward. You guys are with me, you know what I mean.
Little cabinet.
Yeah, the little cabinet, the little counter there, and we'll figure out what we're gonna do with that this afternoon. You ready, Kim?
I'm ready. I have your measurements. I'm ready.
Excellent. All right, so one of the most awesome things about this Festool track saw is that in addition to the fact that the saw rides on the track and you get a perfectly clean straight line that has no splinter or blowout on it, when you actually angle it, what happens is it pivots around the bottom of the track. So like right now I'm going to make a 45-degree cut or a 22.5-degree cut, and when I make that 22.5-degree cut, it is actually I can mark at my 6-inch mark and cut it without having to offset for the blade or compensate or anything like that. So as long as the material you're keeping is underneath the track, it is dead simple measurement. So I need to make a 90-degree cut, and I'm gonna put a 45 in it, so I actually have two 45s to make the 90-degree. But each of those cuts has two angles, so that's 22.5, 22.5, 22.5, 22.5. So I'm cutting the first section, which is 6 inches. That's how far the first straight section's coming off the wall. I'm gonna back cut that at 45 degrees. I did have to increase my depth just a little bit because the saw blade's traveling farther, but I did not have to adjust the offset. So I'm gonna make that cut, then I'm gonna spin it around, back cut, and then I'll be able to make my like a little 2 1/8 inch cut. And I'm gonna have to use some hold down tape to make that happen because the grippy tape underneath this track is way over on the edge where the guide rails are at. There's no sticky or anti-slip stuff over here, and it won't hold straight. It'll make sense here in a second. All right, so I prototyped up a corner brace that I'm going to use to hold this 45 chamfer that we just cut together. I'm going to cut one of them, see how it fits. We'll do a little bit of a mock-up, and if it works out well, I'll cut several of them, and then when we get to the boat, we'll glue them all in and put them together then. Here's my custom corner brace.
That is so cool.
How do you like that? I will tell you, this is one of the best investments I've ever made. It just makes everything like precise, exactly the way I want it.
I'm going to ask you a sort of interview type question because I know the answer, but no one else out there does. So we've got quite the accumulation of tools for different reasons, and we try to make sure that we have tools that work for multi-purposes. However, we have a rule in our professional life from construction. What's that rule?
We don't do a project unless we have the right tool for the job.
And why is that the rule? What happened?
Because Ty almost cut his arm off with the chainsaw disc on a grinder.
Yeah, it was a bad deal.
We found it like 7 years later and it still had chunks of flesh on it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty cool.
So what happened is we were trimming some decking that we had put together, and I forgot all my sawzalls and the other appropriate tools to make this cut at the shop. And I did have a grinder with a chainsaw blade that I used for some minor carving and some other types of things. But it's supposed to be on a variable speed grinder. And I didn't have the variable speed grinder either. So I put it on an 11,000 RPM DeWalt and proceeded to cut. It caught a joist hanger, spun around, and it just missed my face as I reeled back from it, and it cut through my arm. It missed the nerve bundle by about 1/8 of an inch. It missed the big arteries by like 1/4 inch in the bone, and it looked like a shark bite. So from that point on, it's a long story, we don't do the job unless we have the right tool for the job because it's a safety thing, and it just produces a better quality. And you're trying to use the improper tool to do the job you're trying to do. Nothing turns out as well as it could. So there is limitations. Like, there's a good example. There is a cost limitation to this. The edge bander is ungodly expensive, and we can't afford or justify to have that long term. But there's no place that rents it, so I'm gonna buy it, or I did buy it. I will use it for this project, and then I will actually just sell it. Festool holds their value very well, so I'll just be able to turn around and sell that, and the differential will be my rental. The shaper, however, I'm gonna keep that forever, because from floor panels to custom brackets to a bunch of other cool stuff that you guys are gonna see, that's a must in my book. But that's a long story, but it's a little peek into what it used to be like with the Armstrongs in construction. All right, so this is the one remaining back plate that we have to put inside the inboard cabinets. Now this one we're going to screw in. We are not going to glue it in and caulk it in like the rest of them, because this accesses our exhaust, fuel, and raw water lines that go through the bulkhead for the generator. So I've cut a hole. This is where you can stick your finger in and pull it out. And now, because we're fancy, I am going to engrave on here, what do we decide, Kim? Genset access, service access? That sounds fancy, doesn't it? Genset service access? Yeah.
Sure.
Generator service access. Let's go all out because we don't need to abbreviate here. Ruh-roh.
That's okay. I'll still let it pass.
You let it pass?
Yeah. It's not perfect, but I give you a pass on that. Thanks. Good job.
You said...
I said what?
What did you say? When we're done. You said...
Let's go put it in.
That's what she said.
Oh my God.
All right.
Yikes.